Hello everyone, this is Sonicxsam. We're gonna watch a video which we knew this was gonna happen, guys. First of all, we knew there was gonna be hate for Wuthering Waves. We already knew, right? I knew, starting to record videos about it and get into it, that there was gonna be problems because the Genshin community does not like other games, especially games that are trying to take the cake that Genshin Impact is eating. So this is a person I know is very much a lover of Genshin. So to watch them talk about it and compare it to Wuthering Waves is going to be interesting. I obviously have my opinions about Genshin Impact, even though I was quite a big player of it for a long time. But yeah, let's talk more about it when we get into this. I don't know if I'm going to go off this video. I'm about to have some hot takes, boys. I'm about to have some hot takes.
I think Wuthering Wave is a disappointment. This is coming from my first 10 hours of gameplay. I understand that
Okay, 10 hours of gameplay is quite a bit, but I don't know if it's enough to cover everything. I will make that clear, but okay, at least he's being honest.
making a video like this will make some of you think that I'm biased or just a hater, but I'll do everything I can to explain to you clearly why I think this game is a huge letdown.
Okay, first of all, the game is already doing quite well, and if you haven't been keeping up, they've been giving us a shit ton of roles. They not only gave us basically a 5-star selector, they gave us enough roles for basically a second 5-star and enough roles for almost a third 5-star. And if you don't know, if you got any of those early, like I did, I got my my third 5-star without this counting the selector. I was able to get my third 5-star. So I'm actually I have 3 of the 5-stars. I have 3 of them already, and so plenty of roles to gather. And I'm only like level 30 or 25 adventuring. It's wild. So I don't think this game's been a letdown, personally.
On the first look, it's blatant that the game is very Genshin-esque. The UI is similar, the things you get to do, the vibes, the grind, it's all very much familiar if you're a Genshin player.
Whoa, the game made to take what Genshin Impact did and do it better? Has a lot of Genshin elements? No way, dog. No way. Listen, League of Legends is literally a copy of Dota. Does that make it a bad game? No, that does not make it a negative thing. Like, there's so many games that take inspirations from other games. Like, fucking Liza P is a Souls, Souls like a Dark Souls like game. Does that make it automatically bad? No. This guy's clearly using it as a negative here, and I'm like, dude, okay, it's a game trying to copy what Genshin's doing. Okay, who gives? Who cares? If anything, it makes it really easy for people to transition into Genshin. I mean, into this game.
Oh, this game really wants to pick up from a certain other game now, does it? They don't do a great job at hiding how much they want to be like Genshin when you see the same character progression tiers and battle pass rewards. This is going to be hilarious. Hold on, let me do a review, a side-by-side review of this battle pass. This is Racing, which they put it on 5. What is 10? Gem. What's 15? The same thing. What's 25? Racing. There is no fucking way. Stop! Any Genshin players here, open up your Genshin tab right now. Compare the Genshin Battle Pass against this. The thing to understand here is that it's okay for a game to want to be like Genshin. I mean, who doesn't when it's the most successful gacha game historically and still is? I don't even like Genshin very much myself, but I respect any game trying to one-up the other as long as they do a good job at it. However, to top Genshin or become a more enjoyable version of it, the solution should not be to become like Genshin. We don't need another Genshin copy. Instead, any developer should learn from the things that they've done well, repeat them, and study the things they didn't do so well and improve upon them.
Okay, well, let's talk about the Battle Pass. Genshin's Battle Pass is exactly how almost every other gacha games get Battle Passes. Because they're super alike doesn't mean anything. I played Raid Shadow Legends. Their Battle Pass is almost just like Genshin. It just has different items, pretty much. It's literally the same thing. Hell, it's probably worse, if anything. So that seems kind of petty. Okay, who cares? And for him to sit here and try to defend, like, oh, like, I respect, people trying to, trying to one-up each other. Okay, just say you like competition. It seems like he's kind of trying to defend himself a little bit. And he seems like a guy who's probably still currently playing Genshin. And if you don't know, I want to make this clear. This game just came out. And the amount of work they've already put into this game is wild compared to Genshin, who to this day has not done some things the community's been asking for years. If this game is still around, which I am assuming it's gonna be with how much work they're putting into it, Wuthering Waves, I'm telling you, give it 4 years of time and then compare to Genshin how it is now. All right, but don't compare it after Genshin after 8 years, after this game's only had 4 years or whatever. You know, like if you compare what Genshin is now, then go 4 years in the future and compare this Wuthering Waves to how Genshin was, I have a feeling this game might be doing a lot more. I really actually feel like I'm playing a more preferable game. So, sorry, I have this about Genshin. We'll get into that more when we watch this video.
That way, you are creating a better game. So, let's talk about what Wuthering Waves did that was good. Obviously, every player who have played or seen the game will tell you that the game has immaculate combat. There are added layers to it compared to other games of this genre. These include outro and intro skills, a flurry of attack patterns, and the coolest part to me is the interchangeable extra skill. This skill comes from the relic system. The relics here aren't so much of mashing materials to become an attachment. Rather, whenever you fight a monster for the first time and absorb them, they turn into an echo. The priming echo you set will grant your character a unique ability to use in and out of battle. It's very cool. All the fight sequences animations, like how the monsters interact with your hits and vice versa, are all buttery smooth and a fantastic experience. I know there are optimization issues, but at least for my PC, I kind of just ran the game fine. Now,
Okay, so yes, there has been issues in terms of ports, mostly for mobile. But do you blame it? The game has a lot going on. That's why this game's even playable on mobile, to be honest. It's kind of wild. But I hear a lot of people have had no issues with it. So even on PC, I hear people had no issues as well. So, hey, that's fine. I'm sure it'll get fixed pretty quickly. And these guys, it seems like Wuthering Waves is fighting a lot more than they can chew. But I respect that they're trying and they're doing a damn good job chewing that food. Eventually, that shit's gonna come dead. They're gonna be able to swallow just fine. So I'm not gonna hate on them in terms of that. I'm glad they're like getting in there and doing it. So. Oh, I'm sorry. We're on the part that says what went well. Okay, so he's just gonna praise it here, even though it's pretty short. And the what went wrong is huge. Okay, see, I'm gonna hate this guy already.
Combat is also paired with beautiful world design. The places you can visit in the game are pleasing to the eyes. Most relevant comparison I can make is to Genshin, and I will give it to Wuthering that its visuals are clearly better. There's one more additional aspect to the game that a lot of people will praise, and I will too. But I will argue it's not a differentiating factor to sell that it's a great game. That is cutscene animations. When you enter major cutscenes, the characters are very expressive when speaking, and for the fighting cutscenes, they're flashy and impressive to watch. But this extent of animation is easily attainable in other gacha games. The Hoyoverse titles, Arknights, and many other games have in recent times delivered stunning animations in and out of game. So, I'll overall put it that the visual aspect of the game is top tier. But with that out of the way, it's time to talk about all the painful parts of the game. Games are...
I just want to make this clear. He barely said anything positive. This already feels biased as hell, okay? I'm just gonna be honest now. And if he is actively playing Genshin, then I'm telling you, he's clearly biased.
Most often accompanied by a story. It's ever important because it develops the characters you like, the world, and sometimes hook you in on the lore and mysteries. Putting it harshly, this game is terrible at telling stories. Right off the bat, you're introduced to how the game revolves around sound, loading you with technical jargons in your front few hours. Difficult words are turn-offs for casual audiences coming in. Then, this game runs the typical storyline that you, the protagonist, is a mysterious figure who turns out very powerful, making both good and evil people interested in you. The protagonists, whether male or female, are pretty good looking, so that helps. But what doesn't help is that the dialogue you get to choose as the MC never feels very valuable. They're not funny, they don't have that much of a personality. I understand the developers probably think that dialogue choices makes players feel like they have control over the game, but I'd rather sacrifice that control if they don't really add value to my character.
I'll give this one, that's a fair point. Genshin also, but you can't really say this either, because first of all, Genshin is the same way. Almost none of the dialogue choices actually matter, and I hear they've been somewhat adding some things to make it somewhat matter, but it's so unnecessary Don't need it. I prefer making no choices and just enjoying the story, which is fine, you know. But there's some cute little interactions here and there, so I get it. But yeah, no, there's no value. Plus, I think the saying that the main character has no personality, you're supposed to be inserting yourself into the main character, so I don't really, that part I don't mind that much. I don't really care about that. I put myself into the character anyways, and most of the time people don't even use the main character all that much. So I think Honkai Star Rail is the only time I've actually used the main character for something of value. So yeah, no, I don't. It's fine. I'm just surprised the main character even has voice lines that they actually speak. It's pretty wild actually.
The supporting characters are also not that fantastic. Straight up, I'm not the type of player appealed by characters showing a lot of skin, having less clothing. They are good looking, and it's okay to see such characters, but it is appalling when all the main characters you meet, except yourself, always feel the need to show their shoulders, their back, their chest. Like, this is the kind of thing a cash grab game would do, and it's not the experience I want in a game like this. This makes me respect that Genshin has a good balance of this, with some characters bearing some skin, while others don on splendid outfits. Honkai Star Rail and Arknights does an even better job at their character design. To make myself
Okay, I don't know about all of that. Listen, sex sells. We all know that, right? We don't need to play boots with that. Me seeing a more sexualized game does not make me dislike it. You know, hell, I probably like it more. What's that one game? It's Nikki or Nixie, whatever it is, where it's a shooter game where you're literally in like third person and you can see the character, and when they shoot, they're literally showing their ass cheeks. Listen, even that game, I'm not even gonna hate on that much, and that game's way more sexualized than either one of these games, Genshin or Wuthering Waves. So no, I feel like the character designs in the game has been quite tamed. I think the only one I'm a little bit like whoa about is actually the female rover. Her seems a bit out there, especially compared to the male character, a little bit. But everyone else, I think, is all right. Like, I've had no problem. Like the one girl where she has the little dolphin-like thing that heals and does ice damage. I thought it was interesting that they made her chest part more see-through a little bit. And at first I was like, oh, that seems like it might have been a bit of a for the perverts a little bit, for the lovers, you know what I'm saying? But it actually makes her design look a little bit more fluid and nice. So I actually don't believe this. I think a lot of the characters' designs have been quite unique, and I think it kind of makes sense for the time and the kind of like setting the game has going on right now. Plus, showing the little Discord like symbol or whatever it is on each person's body in a different unique location. Actually, I think it's quite good. Actually, I think it's quite interesting and cool little design. It makes you look. When they have so many posters showing the skin, it makes you want to look where they have the Discord on, see if it has any significance to the personality. So I actually don't mind that at all. I think that's just a preference rather than something you dislike, you know? I don't think they're trying to fucking do the sex sales thing, right? I'm sure, because if we're trying about that, come on, Genshin easily does that more than they want to say. They know they do, because, I mean, come on. The whole stepping on you with that one new girl from Genshin Impact, I'm like, come on. They know what they're doing. They're just doing it in a different way, alright? If you can make fun of Wuthering Waves for that, I can say with the Genshin Impact's fucking step on me, mommy is also a negative, okay? Preferences.
clear, I'm not telling the game to go full halal. Instead, it's about having the right amount of seasoning, haram seasoning, so that the game can taste so much better. Apart from the looks though, voices also not that great. The characters all have a general habit of speaking slowly, and they're not good at having an attractive personality. You don't need a tasteful personality in real life, but your characters that you play in the game needs it, because that's what helps you to make you feel closer to the game. The story reader's experience in this game can be described with one word: bumpy. On top of the bad narrative direction, there are many fatal errors, such as voice lines cutting out before they finish, dialogue skipping without you clicking, the inability to scroll long text, which you can on PC by left out and click drag your mouse to scroll. Mouse wheel scroll doesn't work for some reason, and you definitely cannot scroll on mobile devices.
Okay, so this is actually the first thing I think I really heard him say that actually makes sense. I agree with this. I'm playing the game in English dub, and yes, I had a few moments where literally the game would not finish the dialogue, because either, like, you know, they would be talking in English, but they didn't finish the full thing, and then it went to the next thing because I was on auto or whatever. And I was like, oh, that's weird. And it's happened probably at least 10, 12 times, and I'm like, okay, that's noticeable. And then, yeah, the English voice actors could do better. That's for sure. They're not these insanely good voice actors like a lot of these VTubers and such people in the other gaming community doing the voices for like the Mahoyo games and stuff. So okay, I'll give him that one. It could be better, but I hear the Japanese and Chinese or whatever it is quite good. I hear it's very very good, and I should play it in that language. I want to get the English dub a chance because I want to support the English voice actors as much as I can. Because personally, we're never gonna get better voice actors for games unless we support the ones that exist. You know, if we don't give them a chance to show their stuff and get better, then they're never gonna get better. So, cause trust me, I was around when the old English dubs for animes were around, and they were not good. They're way better now. Trust me. You think they're bad now? Don't worry, they were 10 times worse back in the day.
Because when you try to, it registers as a tab, meaning you'll skip to the next line. What's this? I cannot mouse scroll this.
Oh, the mouse scroll, yeah.
No fit the
Oh yeah, the mouse scroll thing is so random. I don't know why that doesn't work like that.
screen. How do you... There is no backlog function, so you can't reread if you missed anything. By the way, a big part of the game is that you can skip the story. So if you hate reading stories and want to speedrun, you can, but only for narration that the game considers less important. If they consider it crucial for you to understand, you must sit through the story and feel all the pains I mentioned. Apparently, while filming this video, the developers added the function to skip all the cutscenes in the game. And that to me is not the solution, because it sounds as if they are not committed to improve the story experience or are admitting that it's shit. If you
See, that is just way too harsh. I'm pretty sure they added the skip function because there's a lot of people who play these games who do not care about the story. They just want to play the game for the gameplay and move on. And I know that's the case because people do the same thing for Genshin Impact. So many Genshin Impact people I know that love the game, but they love the game, not the story. They skip everything story-wise they can. So yeah, no, I don't think that was what they were trying to do. That seems a bit too harsh. And listen, you can't tell me the beginning story of Genshin Impact was good. The beginning of Genshin Impact story, when I think about it, I barely think it was average, if even that. And I feel like it's picked up till like we got to like the end of Liuai to Inazuma. But then I felt like after that it just fucking died basically. That story just said no, I don't exist anymore. So yeah, no, I to sit there and be like, yeah, well, story's not as good as Genshin, blah 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 blah. I'm like, yeah, because Genshin's had it's been out for 3-4 years now. It had lots of time to do its story now. And trust me, if we go back to the old Genshin Impact, the story there wasn't that good. And if you look at a timeline of the Genshin Impact story, it's still not that good. This game's been out for like a week or two. Trust me, it needs some more time to cook. Give it time. And trust me, I've recently gotten done with the most recent acts of the game, and it definitely felt like it got way better. Not perfect in any way, but it definitely got way better, and I'm excited to see more.
If you play the game, you would have seen the clunky ways NPCs behave when speaking to you, and gestures and body movements that don't match their voices, some of them looking very awkward. The biggest frustration for me is back-face characters. This means that the characters who are speaking at the moment never looks towards you, but show you their backs instead. This is a very painful way to sit through the story, because you get disoriented as to who is speaking or who to give your attention to. Can you see the fatal error with this, where they changed the camera angles 3 times? The first time when they changed the camera angle was facing this medical personnel. The second time was showing all the injured personnel. The third one is this current angle. And you see the mega flaw as to how we're not even having a lot of lines for these two characters, and the main person speaking is the person not looking at me. I don't understand why. Is it because they don't want to animate the mouth? Could that be it? They just don't want to do the mouth animation?
Okay, I want to make this because this man is being quite harsh on this game. I don't know if he had some type of like love for this game at some point, but all this feels very harsh and a little too much. I feel like he's playing this up just a little bit, and if he does feel what's going about the game, I'd be like, dude, relax. It's just a video game. Calm down. But no, if it's NPC characters, I do not give a fuck. If it's NPC characters and I'm gonna see the mouth movement, listen, I don't care. If it was a main character, then yeah, maybe. But these NPC characters, no, who cares? They're NPC characters, though. There's so many of them.
So they hide it by showing the character's head. Again! Fourth camera angle! Fourth! You have the perfect opportunity to flip to her. But you don't do it and you put it on these two. Being in 2024, I think it's a bare minimum standard that a story-based 3D game should understand how to have conversational manners. The manners here being if someone speaks to you, you can look straight at them. It's not to say that the characters must always face you, but it's a problem when the characters almost always do not do so. In short, the switching of camera angles in this game is horrendous. Don't let her run off. Are we gonna chase them?
哥，我走不动了，太饿了。别说我们实在没办法了才偷东西的。你们是遇到什么困难了吗？这不是现在北边战事紧张吗？我们这些人没有物资，实在活不下去了。
Wait. Who was the first person I just spoke to? Was it like a bandit attacking them? I don't even know who I was speaking to. The camera angle didn't even show me who was talking. Now, remember that I told you that I can't remember certain names. Understand this, I'm Chinese myself. 我可以讲中文，我是来自新加坡。The thing is, the decision of this game to immediately dive their players to their first region being Chinese based is utterly strange, especially when you're releasing this to the whole wide world.
Okay, I do have to admit this part I do kind of agree on. Resistance to a world like this is kind of meh. Even Genshin, the monster at first was very English, very medieval kind of. So I was like, oh, okay, cool, you know, I can get into that, you know. However, after that, you went straight to Leeway, and after that, I feel like we never went back to Mondstadt, really. Which makes me sad, because I feel like Mondstadt had so much more potential than Leeway. I think Leeway is actually quite boring in Genshin. It was extremely boring. I thought it had way more Mondstadt. It had unique stuff done with that. So actually, I'm kind of excited to see what the next region is going to be, if it's anything more like less Chinese-like, because I think if it's less Chinese-like, I think it will actually be, it means the next area is going to probably be heavily done more stuff with. And if it's anything, the next area is anything like Mondstadt, that'd be great, because I feel like that there was so much lost potential, you know? Which I get it, you know, they're probably trying to, you know, try to reach out to the Asian, you know, their Asian community, but still, you know, it would have been nice. So I'll give them this one.
Tons of Chinese gacha games where the environment is set solely in China, but I don't think that's what Wuthering Wave is meant to be, and will explore other cultures and places. Setting stone in China first is going to give your players a wrong impression. Even as a Chinese myself, the flurry of over 20 Chinese names is quite draining. This is why a lot of global gacha games don't choose China as the first region to explore. Liyue is the second for Genshin, Luofu also the second in Stario, and Langmen or Yan is explored 7 months into the game for Arknights. So I really don't quite understand if the game is jeopardizing its potential of a player base by going to Huanglong first. To become better than another game, I've said that you either imitate the good things or you improve upon the bad ones. And finally, this game does the opposite in some areas, meaning they are worse or they adopt the equally bad qualities. What the hell is this side scroller for a time change rather than a clock? Things setup being in 2D instead of 3D, menu UI looking like it's from a cheap template online, idle voice lines playing every goddamn 20 to 25 seconds.
Stopping to relax once in a while serves for a stronger.
Okay, the lines, idle animation lines, to me feels like more like a preference. I don't really mind that. It kind of reminds you what you're going on, and I mean, if you really care, just mute the game real quick. Like, it's not that big of a deal. It's not that deep. But the UI, okay, I can see it being a bit what's it called. It seems like very basic and simple compared to Genshin, who has this, you know, has this Paimon in Honkai Star. It's a phone, which I think the phone one is way better. Could have just copied that, honestly. But I get it, you know, that not a big deal. But the time skip stuff, okay, yeah, that could have been better. I mean, it could look better, but honestly, I hate that thing in every game. The time skip thingy, so I don't really care. It feels like they were just trying to make it look better. But I think he's forgetting this game was probably built up like 2 years ago. Or 3 years ago, potentially. So, I mean, he's thinking of this like, oh, well, now it could be better. Oh, they weren't ready. Why they release it now then? And I'm like, listen, dog. This game, I'm telling you, I have a feeling in a few years this game's gonna be popping because they would have done so much, so many changes that people actually want, because they would have had time and the resources to start working its way back. So that some of that is more preferences and like it could look better, but once again, it's coming off way too harsh.
And no 120 FPS support. Seriously, a game with a PC.
The 120 FPS support was actually originally in the game. I remember this watching a few people play the beta, but I believe it was removed and they're currently fixing it and they're planning to re-release it. So don't quote me that exactly, but I know it was in the game and they just said they're not going to completely remove it. They said it is going to come back. So I believe that's what it was said. Don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure that's what's happening. And if that is the case, Genshin Impact doesn't even have 120 FPS, and it should have easily gotten 120 FPS by now. They've had way more longer than they need to do that. And with all the technical stuff they've been fixing for the game, for Wuthering Waves, I'm sure that's going to be coming real soon.
Client in 2024 of this genre capping out at 60 FPS. This video started with me explaining that this game very clearly wants to compete with Genshin, or experience a piece of its success. It uses the same business model as Genshin, having terrible gacha rates, sharing the same high prices for pooling currencies in today's economy, and the free pooling currency not being very easy to attain.
I actually have not even looked at the currency because I'm planning to be free to play, so I'm actually kind of interested in what he's gonna say about this.
Ed Bulls is 40 fucking bucks. Another fucking Hoyoverse piece of shit.
Oh wait, for only 10 pool, it's $40. That's actually really high. Is Genshin's like that, or is it a little bit less or more? That's wild, actually. People must really spend money in this game.
It's quite harsh for me to speculate
On
like
games.
this, but it feels like the developers came into this with the greed of wanting to earn the same caliber of Genshin. Again, nothing wrong with that mindset because all of us want to earn money, but it's about how you do it. If the game is well polished, brilliantly made, then that desire is fully justified. For what it is, this game feels like it was rushed out to meet the company's expectations and it just turns out to be half-baked and sloppy. A brilliant real-time combat game with stellar visuals.
Half-baked is a bit harsh once again. I want to say it's probably about 85% pretty much done. I think I would be a better word for it. I would people say it's almost basically done. To say that it's half baked is too much. That's too much. The game's been a blast for me. I haven't had this much fun with a gacha game in such a long time. Because I love Genshin Impact's idea, what they were going for. Just the way they went about it was poorly done. The no in-game content. Them saying, hey, we don't care about that. The endless grinding for what? For the nothing endgame that exists? Because the game's already so easy. The little to no respect to their own community, to their own fan base. I'm just like, Honkai Star Rail does so much more than Genshin Impact. It's like, and I'm telling you, the amount of money Genshin Impact has made, they can easily be doing this. This game has way less going on than Genshin, and it's already doing way more. They clearly want success. Well, Genshin is basically like, oh, we're already the best. We don't need to improve. I hate that. It's one of the biggest things to me I hate about Genshin Impact. And what's even I hate even more is that the community is like just getting throw fucked by Genshin Impact, the devs, and they're just like, yeah, harder, daddy, harder. And I'm like, dude, they are fucking you right now. You could be asking way more from them, especially with how much you've been giving to them. We are the only reason they've had any success. So that's why I'm like, yeah. And this is also why I believe they are actually putting so many more money into other games, because they're trying to be like, okay, Genshin Impact's not gonna stay relevant forever. I think they already know Genshin's on a timer on some level, because it's just a matter of time before the community fucking goes down or until competition comes around. So I think they're putting their eggs in more baskets. So they're like, okay, if something happens to Genshin and it just doesn't go as well, we have other games to back us up where people will play. And I think that was a great idea, because Honkai Star Rail so much better than Genshin Impact. I enjoy that game way more than Genshin Impact. Not even close. Not even close to the same feeling, you know. But it's because it's not exactly done fully by the same people. The Genshin devs need to show more love to the community. All right, they made you who you were. All right, I understand it was during COVID, but still, like, come on.
Only to be ruined by the choice of making it gacha rather than a standalone game, and then to give it a conversely painful auditory experience, not giving players much reasons to remember it for. This is why I'm disappointed with Wuthering Waves. I'll still play the game to clear out the story, and I understand that the game is rushing out hot fixes every single day. people have said that the gameplay will get much better later into the game. But for anyone starting out the game fresh, why would they wait until 20 hours in the game to experience the good stuff when the first 5 to 10 hours of their game have been very painful? I hope Wuthering Waves will improve maybe with the help of this video. And please share with me as well, how do you feel towards this game? I hope it was a great video and thank you for watching. See you in the
Once again, this feels like a biased video as hell. Or maybe he really wanted the game to be so good, so magical, that he's so disappointed. I'm like, nah, all this feels like very, very extremely harsh criticism. When this game has probably been the only thing close enough to actually Genshin in an actual competitive sense. Yeah, you can say Tower Fantasy, but no, like, it's just not the same. This game actually seems like the closest thing that I'm trying to compete with Genshin. And even if it doesn't even get close to competing with it, even if it gets 25% to 50% of their profit, this game's gonna keep going fucking a long time. They're probably more than happy with that, you know? And they're clearly going for a style that's different. And I'm sorry, their combat is just way better. It actually seems difficult and actually is fun to play. And it's significantly more complex than Genshin. It has 2 more actual buttons, and the combat itself makes it more meaningful. Because listen, if I can just zongly shield myself and not worry about anything, it's not a fun game. Well, in Wuthering Waves, you have to actually be able to do your job well. I'm sure you can overstat everything and blah, blah, blah. But I have a feeling that they're not going to let anything like that go for too long. They're going to make sure the game stays interesting and fun. And considering that I'm going to be free to play, I'm not worried about that at all. I'm more worried about the game being too difficult for a free to play player. Which I'm like, that's wild. But with how much free stuff they're giving and how much work they're putting into the game already, I'm not worried about it at all. Because listen, this game has done so many hotfixes. Compared to Genshin, I think sure the game has already probably hit more than half of Genshin's hotfixes at this point. Which is wild. This game clearly cares and wants to succeed. Or maybe they're just doing it because they know they'll make money off of it. But I'm like, okay, that's fine. You know, like, be happy a game is even trying to compete. Because it's going to force Genshin to have to compete. And already, Genshin started to do changes just because this game was coming out. And I'm like, Genshin, you should have been doing these changes a long time ago, you idiots. Why are you doing it now? Because the new game came out and it actually might have a chance to destroy your game. Might actually have a chance to slap your game around a little bit. I don't think Genshin's ever going to die, personally. I don't think this game's even going to be able to destroy Genshin in terms of that way, like it wants to. However, I think this game's going to make Genshin to wake the fuck up and be like, hey, we need to take our community seriously. We need to take our game more seriously. We need to get more serious. I feel like ever since Honkai Star Rail's success, they've been trying to fix the Genshin story to get that same success because they're like, oh, people like this clearly. So yeah, no, I think Wuthering Waves and Genshin are gonna both succeed quite well. Even though I think Wuthering Waves is only gonna probably get 50% of the success Genshin Impact has, which is fine. I'm sure they're gonna be way more happy about that. But I tell you one thing, I'm gonna be enjoying Wuthering Waves way more than I've ever enjoyed Genshin. That's just the truth, unfortunately. And I can't wait to see how it is in a few years. Like I said, games coming better later down the line is always a possibility. Because like I said, I played on Vermintide, Warhammer Vermintide too. And I hear the game in the beginning was so trash. And then years later became this massive success. And I'm like, man, you know, like I'm glad I got to play the success and then get to play the bad part, you know. And I get it. It's the beginning part. So you would be like, oh yeah, you know, why are you gonna let people see the worst part? I'm like, it might not be like that in the future, you know. What if it's way, way better and a lot of these annoying little things are just completely fixed later? We gotta give it time to cook. Maybe for this guy, the game just wasn't what he wanted it to be, which is fine, dude. But don't sit there and be like, oh yeah, well, you know, make it sound like it's a Genshin versus Wuthering Waves story. It doesn't need to be like that. Wuthering Waves is its own game. Let it be its own game. Let the Genshin Impact losers love their game as much as they want. No offense if you like Genshin Impact. I'm just trying to be an asshole a little bit. But I'm trying to be a little bit of a jerk. But no, if you're a normal person in the Genshin community, this isn't for you. But if you're one of those fucking weirdos in the Genshin community, you need to sit the fuck down, kid, alright? You need to sit down. There is more than life than Genshin Impact, alright? Go touch some grass and eat it, please, alright? Jesus. Because I'm telling you, it's not that fucking deep. Genshin Impact will continue to succeed. Since it was the very first thing, it will always be around, and there will always be people that love it, and your game will always keep going, trust me. Horrorverse is not gonna let your game die, even if it made no money whatsoever. It would never let it die. It would just feed off money off their other games to make it succeed. So don't worry about that. Be glad Wuthering Wave exists so your game could become better, okay? Don't be a dick. Alright, everyone. Well, that was the video. This guy, I'm not going to hate on him. I'm not going to show any too much hate. He was just had obviously really strong opinions, and I just think he was being a little too harsh. I think the game is going to come out. It's going to continue to succeed, and it's going to continue to become better. And I plan to be there for every step of the way. And even if it doesn't even get close to succeeding from Genshin is, I'm sure it's going to hold a very strong community, and I'm going to be part of it. Thank you once again for everyone being here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, all that great stuff you usually do. And remember, there's only 2 kinds of people in this world. Become the 3rd. I'll see you next time.